What's up, everybody? It's Peter Tragos, the lawyer you know, and on this channel, we break down the trials and cases you care most about so you can understand how the American civil and criminal justice system works. And we try to make sure you understand what your rights are in every situation, which is why we try to walk you through the entire legal process while also answering your insightful questions along the way. And while it's not legal advice, it's always exciting. So buckle up for another episode of The Lawyer You Know. What's up, everybody? It's Peter Tragos in here. And we're talking about this Idaho 4 case with Bryan Kohberger, where there is a gag order, yet stuff keeps leaking out. And it's actually an unusual episode today because we are going to talk about something that's unconfirmed, because I'm going on a couple of different shows to discuss this stuff, but I want to discuss it with you all first and get your take on it, get your comments and see what you think. It is a plausible explanation for a question that we had. It is even one of the main explanations that I kind of thought when we first discussed the delay in calling 911 from when the crimes allegedly occurred. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about some of these statements, what it could mean, how each side could use it in the legal process, because I want to get your take on it and what you think, how legitimate you think these reports are. But I mean, there is going to be an explanation. We are going to get statements and more context about it. There are more people potentially involved in finding the bodies and making the calls than we originally thought. And I think it's a good indication and learning experience for us to understand how little we know or how little we may know about what actually happened that night. So if you guys are interested in this Bryan Kohberger and Idaho 4 case, hit that like button and subscribe to our page. Hit that reminder bell so you don't miss any update videos we may do in the future. We've got some fun stuff coming as far as the studio and what we're doing. Some members only stuff that we've got going on. That'll be cool. 200K subscriber celebration. A lot of stuff coming on the channel. So make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. So I will tell you, some of the reports coming down are that DM potentially was not the person who found the bodies. She was also potentially not the person who was on the phone with 911 when the original call was made. I believe that the reports are that it was her cell phone the call was made from, but it was somebody else, a friend of somebody else in the house. We'll call them unidentified. And that unidentified person found the bodies and called 911. We will eventually, I assume, hear that 911 tape or get more details on it. But reports are seemingly confirming that DM did hear some ruckus the early morning, late night hours around 4 a.m. the night of the crimes. And we discussed the possible options of what could happen. A, she could have been incredibly scared, locked herself in a room until the intruder left. She could have been intoxicated and didn't really understand what was going on, fell asleep, passed out, something like that in her room. Nobody on this channel has ever suggested anything nefarious, but to me, what made the most sense and what I thought is going to also create some difficulty for the prosecution, we'll talk about why, is that DM thought it was partying, it was people hanging out, all the way down to a dude walks down the stairs in a mask and wearing black and then walks out. All of that was not as abnormal as it may seem to your everyday person, because they were having late night parties. They were doing things like college kids were doing. And potentially that's going to make it even more difficult of an identification, that if that person with the bushy eyebrows, is it Bryan Kohberger first, they have to prove. And then number two, was he actually walking downstairs after committing crimes, or was he partying? Was he hanging out down there with them or up there with them, just like DM thought while she was listening? Because I think that is a difficult question we have to ask. And so people are going to be angry about it. A lot of people want justice. I want justice. I want the rightful person found and convicted for this. And if it's Bryan Kohberger, I think that I hope that he does get convicted. But if it's not, I hope he doesn't, because I don't want an innocent person sitting in prison. So indications are DM heard the loud ruckus upstairs, heard the perpetrator say, "I can help you." Apparently, she yelled up to them, be quiet. I'm trying to go to sleep, things like that. I'll look for some quotes from some of the articles that I wrote down here. She said, calm down. You're being loud up there. She said, I'm trying to sleep around 4 a.m., which is the time, we believe the crimes occurred. And basically like any normal roommate would, right? Like any normal roommate would. Be quiet. I'm trying to go to sleep. It's 4 a.m. I'm tired. I was out too. So I don't think any of that is abnormal. Now, when you combine it with seeing the figure in all black and in a black mask coming downstairs and the probable cause affidavit that she was frozen in fear, there are going to be some potential inconsistencies there. Was she frozen in fear, or did she think it was a party? Did she think it was all fun and games, or did she think something horrible was happening? And if she was frozen in fear and thought something horrible happened, why didn't she call 911 earlier? But if she thought it was just a party and normal, nightlife activity, it would make total sense why she didn't call 911. And if I thought my friend was partying upstairs, in no way, anytime ever in college would I go up there to check on them to make sure they're okay if I think they're just partying and hanging out with friends. And seeing somebody leave late at night, again, what does that prove if she thought they were partying with friends? Multiple people could have left late at night, people she didn't know, people she'd never met. So I think these reports, if they are true, confirm a very plausible theory of what happened that night. If they are not true, there are still holes and gaps that need to be filled. And we're going to continue to try to listen and try to see what evidence does come down, because with this gag order, most of it is not going to be revealed or be leaked. This is something to me that does not poison a jury pool, potentially. This is something that is, if it is true and if it is confirmed, would just be something a jury is going to have to determine, what does this mean? This does not tend to prove or disprove that a crime occurred, but it could tend to prove or disprove who did it, how accurate the identification at the scene of the crime is, and also if the defense's argument is going to be that multiple people were there. This type of a report and these kind of statements make it seem like maybe there were multiple people there. If it seemed like a party, it wasn't somebody, just an individual person sneaking up on two people that were sleeping, or two people and then two more people that were sleeping. So there's a lot of interesting factors to this case. There are so many holes that need to be filled and things that we don't know that we're going to learn as the process continues. But a lot of you sent me this on social media. A lot of you have sent me some other things that, are potentially true, potentially not. And I don't like to run with every breadcrumb that may trickle out there. But this I thought was significant, and it kind of fit into exactly what we had already talked about in the case as a potential reason for the delay in the 911 call. We're giving her every benefit of the doubt. And I think this is a totally plausible explanation for that if it is true. And I mean, really, I don't think there's anything that she could have probably done differently to prevent this. I mean, we don't know. You never know what's going to happen and stuff, but not condemning her in any way for these actions. In fact, I think this is what most people would have done in a house where people are partying regularly. People are coming in and out all hours of the night, people you've never seen before. So we've hit it. We've talked about it. A lot of you asked me about it on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow me at Tragos Law. We're a lawyer you know everywhere else. You can check out our podcast as well, The Lawyer You Know. But I appreciate when you send stuff in. I hope nobody's mad when I don't make a video on certain topics or certain things that you do send in, because as you know, we're making a lot of videos, a lot of content coming here while we are still full-time practicing trial lawyers with our own full caseloads. And, prepping for trials myself while also watching some other trials and keeping them up to date and breaking them down for you. But it's fun. I enjoy it. I love talking to you all about it. So please get in the comments. Tell me what your thoughts are. Tell me what your questions are. Tell me how you think this kind of fits into what you think happened in this case and what you think they'll be able to prove, because the state is going to need enough evidence to actually prove these crimes. We're seeing it in the Alec Murdaugh case. We are seeing the state with potentially not a great investigation and maybe a lack of evidence pointing specifically to Alec Murdaugh, a lot of circumstantial stuff and a lot of dynamics that make you think, and maybe some other things that he did that make you think he probably did this. Doesn't seem like they're going to have as much character evidence or connection with Bryan Kohberger. So I think they are going to need more direct evidence in this case. We know the DNA on the sheath. It's interesting. We'll see how the cell phone data and the pinging and the cars and the cameras and all that works against him as evidence in this case. But we will continue to follow it as long as you all are interested. And you can let me know you're interested by hitting that like button and getting in the comments. I appreciate everybody for joining me. I'll see you tonight on that Murdaugh breakdown. Appreciate everybody for joining me.